Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. My name is FITRI bin YUSOF, metric number 288695. The objectives of this project are to understand the application and disclosure of MFRS 108, changes in accounting policy, estimates and errors, MFRS 110, events after reporting period, MFRS 116, property, plant, equipment, and MFRS 136, impairment by Malaysian listed companies. Second, to analyse other related disclosure, which is the key audit matters. And lastly, to assess companies' performance before and during COVID-19. The background of Maybank Berhad. Maybank Berhad is the largest bank in Malaysia, which operates as a holding company. The firm engaged in the provision of commercial banking and related financial services. It operates through the following segments: Group Community Financial Services, CFS, Group Corporate Banking and Global Markets, Group Investment Banking, Group Asset Management, and Group Insurance and Takaful.
Background company for Rohas Teknik Berhad. Rohas Teknik Berhad is involved in regionally utility infrastructure markets, primarily in the power and energy, telecommunication and water and sewage. Rohas Teknik Berhad manufacturing of steel, lattice towers and monopolies for power transmission and telecommunication in Malaysia. Provision of full turnkey solution in engineering, procurement and construction and commissioning, EPCC.
Assalamualaikum, my name is MANISAH binti RUMMAN, number metric 287923. I'm going to present the company ROKIAH Holdings Berhad. ROKIAH Holdings Berhad is an investment holding company engaged in the provision of management services to its subsidiaries. Its subsidiaries are principally involved in the provision of end-to-end animal health solution and the distribution and supply of food ingredient. It offers animal health services as well as the manufacturing and distribution of animal health product. The company was established in September 2000. The company is mainly involved in the provision of animal health product and veterinary advisory services.
Assalamualaikum and greetings. I am KAMALIA binti DAUD with matrix number 288485. I will present about the application of MFRS by Riverview Rubber Estates Berhad. Riverview Rubber Estates Berhad is a Malaysian-based public limited liability company and is listed on the Bursa Malaysian Securities Berhad. The company engaged in oil palm cultivation on its plantation and also is an investment holding real estate company that develops and rents out its properties. The company's subsidiaries include Deena Plantation PLC, Hago Sdn Berhad, and Narborough Estate Malaysia Sdn Berhad. The financial statements were authorized for issue by the Board of Directors on 23 March 2022 in accordance with the resolution of the Directors.
BIDAT Group Berhad is an investment holding company in construction and integrated facilities management. They are providing high-quality services in various construction, infrastructure and IFM services. The scope of services provided by this company is property management, mechanical and electrical, civil and structural.
Disclosure of MFRS 108 for Maybank Berhad, changes in accounting policies, estimate and errors. In 2022, the group had made some changes which are effective in 1 January. The changes are revised conceptual framework for financial reporting, amendment to MFRS 3, definition of a business, amendment to MFRS 4, insurance contracts, extension of the temporary exemption from applying MFRS 9, amendment to MFRS 101 and 108, definition of material, amendment to MFRS 7 and 9 and 139, interest rate and benchmark reform, amendment to MFRS 16, leases, COVID-19 related rent concession. In 2021, amendment to MFRS 4, 7, 16 and 139, interest rate benchmark reform phase 2, and also amendment to MFRS 16, leases, COVID-19 related rent concession beyond 30 June 2021. However, these changes does not make any significant impact to the group's financial statement.
Disclosure for MFRS 108. Note 2.5. This amendment do not have any significant impact to the financial statement of the group and company. The standard MFRS 108 is a standard that have been issued but are not yet effective until the issuance of financial statement on 1 January 2023. MFRS and amendment to MFRS effective 1 January 2023. MFRS 17 Insurance Contract. Amendment to MFRS 4 Insurance Contract. Extension of the temporary exemption from applying MFRS 9. Amendment to MFRS 17 Insurance Contract. Amendment to MFRS 101 Presentation of financial statement. Classification of liabilities as current or non-current. Amendments to MFRS 101 Presentation of financial statement. Disclosure of accounting policies. Amendment to MFRS 108 Accounting policies in accounting estimate and errors. Definition of accounting estimates.
Disclosure of MFRS 108. In the financial year 2020, Roma Holdings Berhad had 6 changes in accounting policies, which are amendments to references to the conceptual framework in MFRS standard, amendments to MFRS 3 definition of a business, amendments to MFRS 101 and MFRS 108 definition of material, amendments to MFRS 9, MFRS 139 and MFRS 7 interest rate benchmark reform, amendments to MFRS 16 COVID-19 related rent concessions, amendments to MFRS 4 insurance contract, extension of the temporary exemption from applying MFRS 9. In 2021, there's 2 accounting policies: interest rate benchmark reform, phase 2, amendments to MFRS 9, MFRS 139, MFRS 7, MFRS 4 and MFRS 16. And the next one is COVID-19 related rent concession beyond 30 June 2021, amendments to MFRS 16 leases.
Amendment to MFRS 108 is to be effective beginning on or after 1st January 2023. Thus, there is no significant impact on the financial statement for the year ended 2021. The COVID-19 pandemic on 11 March 2020 does not materially affect the operation of the palm oil industry, as it was deemed essential and allowed to continue operating.
In the financial statement, Notes 2 stated that MFRS 108 are among several other standards that have been issued but are not yet effective. There are amendments to MFRS 108 has been issued but is not yet effective to the date issuance of the financial statement of the group and the company on 1 January 2023. In the disclosure notes 32, the company explained about a significant event during the financial year. This company has prepared a list of events that have been occurred during the financial year with all the complete details about the policies and the changes in accounting estimate and errors.
Disclosure of MFRS 110. For Maybank Berhad, there is no significant events after the reporting period in the year 2022 and 2021.
Disclosure of MFRS 110 for Rohas Teknik Berhad. There is no event after reporting period stated for Rohas Teknik Berhad in the year 2020 and 2021.
For the disclosure of MFRS 110 at the end of 31st December 2020, there is an event which issuance of free warrants. The issuance of free warrants was approved by the shareholders of the company on 18th January 2021. In 2021, there is also one significant event subsequent to the end of reporting period, which is private placement.
For the year 2021, there is no event after reporting period for Riverview Rubber Estates Berhad.
There is no specific statement mentioning about MFRS 110, so we cannot identify whether this company is using this standard. However, in the disclosure notes 33, the company explained about a significant event after the reporting period. This company has prepared a list of events that have been occurred after the reporting period with all the complete details and dates about the non-adjusting events.
This is the checklist of disclosure of MFRS 116 and 136 for our group's companies. The key audit matters for MABANK Berhad are impairment of goodwill and investment in subsidiaries, and also expected credit losses of loans, advances and financing, and investment not carried at fair value through profit or loss.
Common key for Rohas Teknik Berhad. So impairment loss on trade receivable and contract asset. Review the aging of trades receivable in comparison to previous years, testing the integrity of aging by calculating the due date for a sample invoice and reviewing the level of bad debt written off the current year against the prior years. Inventory valuation next. Tested the methodology for calculation, the provision, challenge and appropriateness and consistency of judgment and assumption, and considered the nature and sustainability of historic data used in estimate the provision. Revenue recognition. Perform a range of audit procedures including obtain sample of contract or letter of award, review variation order, review estimate profit and cost to complete, and inquired key personnel regarding adjustment for job costing and potential contract losses. Goodwill on consolidation. There is no key audit matter to be communicated in respect of the audit of the financial statement of the company.
Key audit matters in annual report of ROKIAH Holdings Berhad in 2020. There is 5 key audit matters, which are impairment assessment of the carrying amount of property, plant and equipment and right of use asset, recoverability of trade receivable, carrying amount of inventory at the lower of cost and net realizable value, impairment assessment of the carrying amount of goodwill, impairment assessment of the carrying amount of cost of investment in subsidiaries. In 2021, there's recoverability of trade receivable, carrying amount of inventories at the lower of cost and net realizable value, impairment assessment of the carrying amount of goodwill, and the last one is impairment assessment of the carrying amount of cost of investment in subsidiaries.
There is only one key audit matter stated in the year 2021, which is the valuation of freehold and leasehold land. Land are the group's most significant assets. Its valuation are highly dependent on the use of estimates. The carrying amount of the land was stated at valuation amounted to RM313 million. The valuation of the land were determined by an independent external valuer.
In the independent auditor's report, there are several key audit matters that have been addressed in the context of the company's audit of the financial statement. The first matter is about impairment losses on the trade receivables and contract assets with reference to the financial statement notes 7 and 11 that have been disclosed by the company. The second matter is about revenue recognition, referring to the financial statement notes 20.
Maybank Berhad performance during COVID-19. For the profitability ratio, the return on asset percentage are around 2.9%. For liquidity ratio, the current ratio are around 1.1. And lastly, for the solvency ratio, the debt to asset ratio are around 0.9.
Now, I want to present about the performance during COVID-19 for Rohas Teknik Berhad. So, for return on asset in 2020, Rohas Teknik Berhad got negative 0.83%, while in 2021, they got negative 3.24%. For liquidity ratio, in current ratio, in 2020, they got 2.17, while in 2021, they got 2.23. In solvency ratio, in 2020, for debt to asset ratio, they got 0.401, while for 2021, they got 0.357.
Rummah Holdings Berhad performance during COVID-19 and after COVID-19. For profitability ratio, in 2020, during the COVID-19, the company got 5.24%, and it increased in 2021, which is 7.05%. For liquidity ratio, in 2020, the company got 3.6879, and in 2021, the company got 3.2762. For solvency ratio, the company got 0.2976 in 2020. In 2021, the company got 0.2893.
To assess the firm performance during COVID-19 on the years 2020 and 2021, I prepared the financial performance analysis using three matrices, which are profitability, liquidity, and solvency. First, the profitability ratio or return on assets for the year 2020 is 3.41%, which is lower than in 2021. This indicates that the firm abilities to generate return is better in the year 2021 compared to the year 2020. Second, for the liquidity ratio, the current ratio for the year 2020 is 6.0608, while year 2021 is 5.7591. This means the firm's ability to convert its assets into cash is much better during year 2020 compared to year 2021. Lastly, the debt to asset ratio for year 2020 and year 2021 are 0.0918 and 0.0972 respectively. This shows the firm is funded by assets more than by its debts, since the ratio for both years are less than 1. Comparing both years, year 2020 is a bit better than 2021.
Profitability ratio. This calculation shows that the company operating profit margin increased significantly from the 2020 to 2021, even though the COVID-19 pandemic was happening at that time, but it did not affect the operating profit. Liquidity ratio. In 2020, the amount calculated shows that for every 1 ringgit of current debt, the company had 2 ringgit 5 cents available to pay for debt. The amount decreased in 2021, which may be because of the COVID-19. It shows that for every 1 ringgit of current debt, the company only had 1 ringgit 17 cents available to pay for debt. However, this result still indicates a good performance for the company because they still had money to cover their debt. Solvency ratio. There was a slight increase from 2020 to 2021, which means the company was having trouble borrowing money, or maybe they borrowed money only at a higher interest rate than lower rate.
Conclusion for this project. COVID-19 had affected these companies and requires them to make some changes in their accounting policies. By doing that, company must comply with MFRS to prepare their financial report. Not all companies' performance dropped during COVID-19. Some remain constant.